Alright, we do have volume. Let's get some video of the wreck. Welcome back. Another After Hours. We got something fun that we're finishing up. Let's take a look at it. It's on bench. Check out my hunting orange textured gloves. It's kind of hard to get gloves these days, believe it or not. This is the end of a custom build. I guess I can talk a little bit about it. This heatsink here was a temporary patch for a pump problem. So basically, we had a fairly nice computer. It had water cooling. It was a Corsair water cooler. It had this Strix board. It's got an Intel i9, I think, is it i9 or i7? i9 9900K. It had a 2.5-inch SSD, 1080 with also water cooling pump on and a radiator. A bunch of lighted fans. The computer would start up and shut itself down. There were a few things that were wired together that we ended up losing on the actual system of how it was hooked up. The hard drive and some of the fans and the pump were all on the same SATA power rail coming out of the power supply. We ended up losing the circuitry for, what is it, a Corsair H100i RGB Platinum Special Edition. So the brain for it was bad. The pump ended up being the culprit for why the computer was shutting itself down. Right now I'm just trying to get this heatsink off so we can get this motherboard back together and get it in the case and let the owner come pick it up. You are spinning off of there, right? There it goes. Like I said, this was just a temporary patch. As the computer came in, we'll check this out little by little throughout the course of this stream. As it came in with the malfunctioning pump and the lights that were working intermittently, and then the SSD, that worked once and then never booted again. It's funny that when you plug this SSD in, it gets hot in the same spot, and there's a similarity between it. So, is this the culprit? I don't know. Okay, so here's a SanDisk SSD Plus from, this is out of the actual computer that you're watching this stream on now. And it had taken and gotten hot internally. Melted the plastic. It actually pulled away from the SATA connector. It got hot and rippled it on this side. Like, that's how hot it got internally in this SSD. Never got it replaced. Tried to get RMA, and they just kept saying you should have a link in 24 hours for like 6 months and then quit responding to me. So shame on you, SanDisk. You should have better support than that. Here is the SSD from this computer. Do we notice anything similar? They're both 240 gig SanDisk SSD plus drives. And this one, when you try to plug it in as an external, is getting warm in this general area. It's dead. It no longer mounts. Similar fault? Possibly. I don't know. Regardless, we have to fix that as well. Finish cleaning this motherboard up and get it ready to accept our H100i. Where are you? Alright, let's call that clean. Hopefully. I have the filter on, or are you hearing a bunch of AC noise currently? Filter on. Alright. I suppose this is a good point to hit record so we have record other than highly compressed YouTube video. Alright, ready. And we had to, this probably make more sense. That's what we're looking at. We lost the brain for this. The pump for it malfunctioned. The brain ended up going out, so the lights didn't light up. All in all, SSD, the brain for this, this USB header, along with one of the whichever USB port on the back is connected to this USB header. SSD, the brain for that. Basically, that's what happened. Something with the way, I don't know the way it was wired. Is it possible for power to backfeed? Outside the scope of my understanding. I just know everything that's hooked together on the same circuit. We had a few issues with it, like something shorted out. And when said shorted stuff was still hooked up, the power supply, if a power supply tester was hooked up to it with the stuff still hooked up, it showed the rails going on the power supply. But upon disconnecting this from the SATA power that it was hooked up to, the SSD, and disconnecting whatever was plugged into this bad USB port, the power supply went back to normal. So here we are. We gotta put this back to normal the way it was. This is the backplate for this H100i. However, as a temporary patch, because we didn't have another water cooling unit here, like I said, we used this old Silverstone cooler to air cool it to get the system stable, and it is. Or it was when it was hooked up. But we had to mix and match our hardware. Our Silverstone backplate didn't have the right cutout size to go around the circuitry on the back side of the motherboard, so we used the one from the Corsair, which these still lined up with the front side of the Silverstone mount. So we can put it all back together the right way. We also have to do a little bit of brain surgery before we can start putting this computer back together. This was definitely not one of your standard, how do I want to say it, standard repairs. And if I'm not mistaken, the hardware here isn't proper. It's the proper top, but not the proper screws for this setup, not for the stock Silverstone setup. We are messing with something white, so we will try and attempt to keep the silver gray of thermal paste off of the white stuff. Let's get in here a little closer. We're going to go ahead and put our back plate back on the board the proper way. Like so. And then we need to attach these standoffs to the front. These are the standoffs for the H100i water block for the CPU. Alright, with those two diagonals in, let's move it along. I think I like these gloves, they grip. Marginally easier than the black ones I've used for so long. Same manufacturer, just different color with a textured grip. Not digging them so far. Do each of these little twists. Just look down across our board and see Yes, they are. They are all the same height. Alright. Put our RAM back in. Do it backwards. Let's do as I say, not as I do category right there. You're gonna fit, you're gonna fight. For now, we can set our motherboard off to the side. Where are you? Okay, so here's what we have going on. We have our donor. The owner of this particular unit is partial to the white, and it would have taken months. For this, another one of these units to ship in. I looked and couldn't find any direct replacements that weren't used or taking a risk, and as well so did the owner. But what we can do is swap from our donor heatsink what we need to. So we've got to pop this apart, and we've got to get the pump one, and then the actual brain. So let's start this. Tear it down. Should we do it on the mat, the trusty mat? I'm gonna say no. Let's just lift this apart. We want to keep track of our screws. There's our top cap. This is bad. This unit here, this controls RGB lighting of the fans. This white cap that shows through the colors. It'd probably just be easier to switch the fans onto this radiator, but except for the radiator's black versus white. Silver cap, we're doing it the hard way. We're probably gonna spill a little liquid in the process because there is liquid in here. Let's see if we can get this a little better situated. How's that? Does that work? If I let you stand right there, can we not smack our heads together when we're looking down? So if we can manage to get this thing apart without too much trouble and have it set off to the side, I can show you this thing. We need a plastic pry tool. You go in and lift up on your corners. And this is where we don't want to spill anything. So we're going to try and pick this out of here easy and keep our water block nice and level. Is there more underneath? Or did it just not lift out like I thought it should? Nope, it didn't. Give me a sec. So we got to get... There it is. That's the part I wanted out. Okay. This is important. This is where we don't need to spill our opened up water block with our antifreeze in it. Okay, so to turn this thing on, and if we had some type, I don't know what type of grease we'd use that wouldn't get into the antifreeze, the coolant for our H100i. I'm not sure what type we would use, but let's go ahead. We're going to power this up with SATA to see what it's doing. That we can do fairly easy enough. So upon powering this up, it may spin, it may not. So that shouldn't actually be jumping around like that. Can you see? I promise you that's not spinning. That is, now watch, you can tell a difference between that and a spin. Watch, we'll set it still. There, it's jittering now. Now that's what the spin looks like. So our pump wasn't starting up. Our pump not starting up is what made, in this case, our CPU with the water block here connected to it. That's what it was, why it would shut down. We had this water cooling and GPU water cooling to deal with. So I had to take one out, take out the GPU and put in a little crap card and then run the benchmark at much less specs, but it's still, after a few moments, the computer shut down once it hit its max thermal temperature that it was set up for. And what's weird is this pump, you can spin it either way and get it going. Will it sense either way? I don't know. No idea. No clue on the matter. But to just start up, yeah, it's not starting up, so that's why our CPU is getting hot. Kind of like an agitator for a washing machine. That's not really gonna move the coolant around good. So that's what happened there. In all the testing, messing, even putting a little bit of grease oil on here, I couldn't find anything that would let this spin up reliably. So let's continue this brain transplant. Here we go. Alright, orange is not being very favorable. We are going to try something a little different. Orange? I don't know that I like orange, but I do have a whole case of XL, so we'll fight through them. I just don't know what I was thinking, but cracked open a case of extra medium. I don't know that they're going to fit. So we may have to go back to the orange. We'll try the grandes another day. Or the extra small. Oh yeah, like it should be. Much easier. First go around. Alright, let's tear the brain out of this unit. Ooh, that hurt. It's like we're trying to pop our fingernails off. Alright, you monster, show me where the adhesive is. I very much doubt this is going to do any good, but we'll try it. Yeah. Better be careful not to melt anything. We're going to put some hot air on this situation. One of these sides will undoubtedly have adhesive on. It's only on opposite sides, so we heat up two of them. We're bound to hit one. Yes, I think it's this one. Maybe they didn't build them the same. You would think they're identical products. Why would they change it? Add more heat. Alright, uncomfortable to hold. Let's fight this thing off here and see if we can get any leeway. It is coming up, just ever so slowly, like it's sealed together. Yes, I'm going to say it's identical in construction, but I'm not smart enough to get this one open, people. Let's get something else. That maybe the ticket. Correction, we may be doing this. If there's any way to tell these apart. See that side. Actually, I take that back. There's adhesive on 4 sides, so not just 2. That's what's making it tough. Let's keep up the battle, I suppose. Yeah, that's it. Alright. We got the skull opened up on that one. Let's go, people. We can kill our hot air now. Actually, we can't. We gotta let it cool down. Alright. We got the skull. Or the scalp, whatever you want to call it. Let's go for the skull, the brain case. We're actually opening the brain case on this one. We're going to lose our pieces. Boy, what a fight just to get that top cap off. That 4 pieces of adhesive. A little bit nightmarish. Okay, and then we can rip the white cap off of here. Yeah. Actually, it's the same color underneath, just a different cap on top. We got the brain. Let's transplant this brain in one piece, one unit. Gonna be really careful opening this up. I want to check the level of, like, see if there's a noticeable, distinguishable difference in the level of the antifreeze or coolant, whatever they have in there, because opening that when I did spill some for the original diagnosis, just a couple little drops, but it was those couple little drops more than I had actually anticipated or thought. Working on popping the brain out. And this is attached with some very thin magnet wire to be locked in everywhere. Of course we're not. Now we are. So the circuit board here is attached to the pump with some very thin magnet wire. So you don't want to separate those two. That's what I started doing, and I had to back off from doing that to do this. Alright. We do have some dripping back off into the middle. Not much difference in the coolant level. Slight bit. How do we rectify this? Does not work like a squeeze bottle. No, anything. Well, you know what? Say we go with it as is. I'm going to set this here. That's our functioning brain. We've got our brain dead. We're just going to swap it into our donor. Perhaps? I think the room we're missing is the USB port. Let's see. No, can't be it. This is gonna slide right down and go in. Oh, I get it. I get it. I know your malfunction. I forgot about this. Okay, so let's pull the brain dead one back off. Dumped our little pump off. We need our little brain gasket. Once we have it, we should just set it down on and give a little push and it should latch itself right in place without a fight. Anything like we just did. Other than our wires being in the way, we gotta look at those. Alright, and that is that. That's properly seated. Alright, almost. And we'll sit this back on. It has some little arms that snap it down over the circuit board, over dead brain. Alright, let's get our downer out of the way. We have to put back together our intended keeper with the white heatsink and all that goodness to match the rest of the white theme going on in the system. Kind of insane that it would take months to get one of these and to have to go the downer route. There's a bottle. I'm going to add a little bit. I don't think it shouldn't hurt it. I'm going to add a slight amount of, how do you want to say it? Purified water, still water, whatever. Stuff in the bottle from the store. The fancy tap water that's in water bottles. Let's try and get our little brain gasket, or pump gasket, whatever you want to call it. Put it in here. We got a malfunction on this water bottle. The little spout is clogged. Kniffy. There's a Kniffy. Alcohol makes its way out of the one that was just partially jammed, so we use it for alcohol, the other one for water. Water. Alright. Continue on. Try to put our brain back. We can check a couple things in a moment here once we ratchet this back down. I want to get 2 screws in quick, and then I want to tilt it to see did it squeeze any water out, or did all that go into the system. Alright, indeed it kept it in. Alright, so real quick, we're going to go ahead and power up. We can power up our SATA, and how do we power up our wires? We need what? That's a signal wire. Possibly all of it? Let's try it. Should have spun that pump while it was out. You can hear it spin up right away. And why did I spin it before putting it in the case? I wanted to get it circulating. The other one, you could feel it when it was running. And you saw how that fan was jittering or agitating like the old washers that would go back and forth. The difference between what that did inside the whole unit, the thing would sit there and actually like vibrate, shake. This one, you can feel it spinning. It's a constant steady spin versus a shaking back and forth. So we have power there. How do we power up all you lights? Let's take a look and we see at these units. Now we're not going to have any PWM function of the fan with the fan speed. However, you should be able to see something, hopefully. It doesn't have an on-off switch, so we do have fan spin, we have pump spin, we have lights working, and although it does it's like we're getting a crazy color just in one corner. It's not. Maybe that's the corner that starts the color. I don't know. Don't know how it works. However, everything else seems to be functioning. I'm going to call that ready for the prime time. It can go into the case. Turn off our hot air gun. It's powered down. You can unplug all of this. That unit should stay pretty separate. And we have this one. Oh boy, we still got to screw that all together. But while we're at it, let's see. That's going to be upward. And those will go upward. We'll spin around. I'm just trying to figure inside the case. I think that's going to be our most comfortable way to mount it with the Corsair logo like that. It's either that or we flip it 180 degrees and try and make one heck of a massive twist on this thing, which, no, we'll keep it like that. So let's go ahead and put this back together. One thing I kind of wanted to look at, and I didn't get a chance to, I suppose I could look on the donor one, is once you tear into this system, is there any type of screws or pins or anything to release these on the H100i, H80i, or H60i, or whatever it is, the smaller models, not the bigger ones? Corsair is pretty good about making them a nice nice tight stock fitment where you're not going to pull them out. So wouldn't trust me to be a doctor, but that appears to be one successful brain transplant. Get a little funny cap, put it on. And now we have to make room for this massive computer system. Over here out of the way. Okay, we have our 1080 sticking outside. This is gonna be a nightmare. I realize this. Let's go up to the bird cam. I'm not gonna have as bright a light. But we can pull off our magnetic top. We have a few cables to manage here once we get the motherboard in. I'm trying to think how to do this. Should we put motherboard in and do the radiator CPU block last? I think that might be the move to make. So if I'm gonna go that route. Let's just throw these in the case. We can take a look at the cable management kind of like in a bit. For now, everything is in place. I'm going to attempt to flip this down and not let our 1080 go flying. Okay. I'm not saying it's going to hold. We do have our 1080 sitting on something here. There's some boxes there, so don't get too worried about that. Let's push this guy in. What kind of view can we get? We'll go back to the above. With all of our wires. Keep those out of the way of the standoffs. I hate building on stream because it's such a long, lengthy process, and I don't think anybody's ever, nor do I expect anybody to ever watch any of this. We have our CPU ready. We have our motherboard. We have our standoffs for the CPU water block locked in. We're going to go ahead and attempt to slot our board into place. So a little bit of a pressure fit. Go ahead and get one screw in, this middle screw. Unfortunately, that's as zoomed out as I can get it. So, deal with it there. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9 to go. The other thing, how do we tell that the brain for the original brain for the H100, I was a loss or dead. When we plugged the pump in, it wouldn't give any feedback, no reading. Okay. Plugged into end, like when you plug in the little signal monitoring wire, yeah, there was no reading. There's nothing. It was completely brain dead. It wasn't feeding nothing back. Now, when the pump would start, it would, but after a while, it went from 0, not spinning, agitating, to reading out if it was spinning, to when it was agitating, it went NA and never switched back from NA. So there were clearly problems going on with that. Let's put this unit in, but we have quite a few other things to sort out first. We need to do our HD audio. We got to do our front panel headers. We're going to leave our two front USB unplugged for now. That's a must do for temporary. HD audio, good to go. Let's get that's our front panel USB. We're going to leave that undone and plug in the LED strip USB header. No super big hurry on the front side USB 2.0 ports. They're not really make or break the system, but the LED light strip, when you got some that likes their lighting, their effects, yeah, that's a bad day. You don't want to not have your lights rocking, right? Your RGBs, wherever you happen to settle in that spectrum. Genuinely can't see this socket. Don't bend the pin, silly. Nightmare that was. Just simply plugging in USB 3. Should be all of our wires, at least for now. HD audio, USB 3, USB 2. We're going to hook up our front panel headers quick, that on-off switch, all that goodness, and then we're going to pop in this 1080. I think pretty sure we can work around the 1080 for now. This guy we're going to leave out. Those maybe better suited down. Oh boy, I gotta decode that. I'm gonna attempt to set this up out of the way for right now. What does that say there? We got HDD LED reset speaker. I can't see the top one. So let's get our camera back here and zoom back out. What is this thing? Strix Z390E. Power LED, power switch, hard drive LED, the reset switch. Just work on making it happen. Power switch, is this reset? Power switch, power LED. Hard drive LED reset switch. Alright, that's our one. The leftmost one is the hard drive LED. The next one over is reset. If you can see way down in there where I'm plugging these in. And then we have to do power LED and power switch. This could be fun. Do we get her or are we a pin away? I think we're a pin away. Yeah. Yep, we got her. Alright. Oh, one go. Nice. We now have to crack our heads off the wall to finish that one. Right, we gotta do some cable management for this 1080. I'm gonna zip tie our power fan leads. Or 1080, 1080T, I'm not sure which it is. But we're gonna zip tie our fan cables together and try and slack up some of the length to it. Should be there. Do one there. I think that should be doable there. I'm gonna put a zip tie on and call it workable. Back to my other screen. We gotta look at the markings on our wires to see which one has goofy markings. So the crazy markings are going to be the fan. And the black ones are going to be the pump. And do the pumps are the crazy markings. I said what? They're the pump, right? And the not so crazy ones are going to the chassis fan. Alright, so let's do that. Slide up and lock. There we go. Okay, so it's still a little short. We gotta pull our card back out, rotate it around. We're gonna set it how we did have it set. We need more slack out of our tied up. That should definitely make it. The crazy color goes to the pump, or crazy stripe one goes to the pump, and normal goes to the chassis fan. Alright, I think at this point we're almost ready to snap our GPU down in its slot. Alright, I think that will make the grade there. We have a few screws for the back of this thing. GPU and fans plugged in. We just have to do the rest of the system fans. GPU, drop it. Relock that. Okay. 1, 2, 3 there. Pull stuff out of the back. I don't think there's room for a whole 120 anyway. We're going to try and no, not happening. That's actually the right size. Nothing doing, no can do. Alright, let's get back to this. GPU's in, we're ready to put our radiator in, lock down part on the CPU, the water block, and get this machine back up. We do have to bring a couple fans to the front. I think we can flip it down that side and do that later. The motherboard's in, screws are tightened down. We have to get our GPU power, CPU power, water block, radiator with the fans, and then power on the back side. Still a little ways to go down this road. Let's check for a moment. It's a really weird spot for the wires to end up. I think we're going to end up moving that. They don't even have to come up front. If I can get all the wires out of my way. I think that's going to keep the wheels down. I'll put this in the top. That's going to fall right down on there. Open that up. I think we'll try that. I'm going to spin our case and start getting our radiator mounted up. Put you down in there, but not do anything with you quite yet. Sink you into the system. Alright, well, this is what we have. It doesn't seem like it's the right type screw, but it's a panhead screw with a washer. It's how it was put together. I'm putting it back together how it was. I don't have the proper screws. I may take a minute and look there because the magnetic top that sits on here doesn't like sitting down super flat with these on, but it's exactly how it was put together, and it ran fine. So we put it back to how it was. Instead of going on a mysterious screw hunt. What is that? I really don't think those came with it. Perhaps we'll take a look at that later. So it looks like we have some massive, it looks like an M8 size bolt, like M8 metric bolt. The fans are put in with when it should be more like that is what threads into the plastic. That versus those. But I can't say. I'm not the original builder, I never bought these parts. Personally, so I can't put 2 cents in on whether those screws are proper or not. They don't seem like the right ones to go in the fans, but perhaps we be wrong. After all, they just do thread right in, no issue. If you just... The thing is, they don't fit a new fan. No issue. It's got to be stretched way out to go through a new fan. With the corner of the fan will expand, putting one of those guys through. Also, through the magic of video editing, you miss out on all this fun screw turning stuff. And that's when you cut out the mistakes where you're being a fool and whatnot. Alright, Corsair radiator mounted. You have to get the water block spun around the right way. Get all of our wires routed back through with the other ones in the back. We will come back and mount this. It's not yet. Not the yet. Set this back down. Get this one locked on at least to our, what is that thing called? CPU, not CPU option, but our CPU. Wires need unspun, untwisted, bundled together much better than they are. Actually, zip tied is probably the way to do. And can we make it disappear over that way between the heat sinks up by the 12-volt rail? I think that could be a very clean exit. I don't know about putting something that close to the heat sink though. I know once I jam through it's going to be a nightmare to get them out. So we're going to throw a zip tie around it to keep these wires bundled up in place. Right as they are. That's where it's going to go through the heat sink. I don't know, what's the consensus on that? Do we do that? Where's CPU? There's the CPU. The CPU is the bottom one, the CPU option on the top. And hit up CPU for now. Alright, before we get that wire stuck running between the heatsink, for the RGB and stuff coming from the brain transplant. Let's lift this unit and put some thermal paste under it. Seems like an opportune time. Now, that seemed like a convoy of fighter jets or something going by, or who knows what. Loud. Oh yeah, the wires are already committed. Alright, they're out. Let's move this slightly out of the way. We're going to put our appropriately sized line of thermal compound and a couple little dots. Cap this, and let's get our thumb screws to put our water block back on. Suppose we could have it go to the back, flip the radiator. No, we're not flipping. Out of your head. Okay. Once we get this down in here, I think it's going to be pretty committed and a nightmare to get out, but very nice, clean exit to run the wire. And then this one, you can hide it wherever for our CPU connection to get the RPMs of the pump. I don't like that those hang right by the fan, but I don't think you have much say in where they're gonna go once we start cable zip tying them all over the place. That's fairly complete. We have to bring up our CPU. Still bring up our CPU power, motherboard power, our fan wires, and down here under the GPU for the rest of the system fans hooked up to the fan controller. And let's not forget our 12-volt rail. Alright, real quick, I guess this is where we flip this up. Possibly. Yeah, we got to. Let's go to the bird cam. Let's stand this beast up. And 12-volt rail. Oh. So what I'm looking at is power supply on our one motherboard connector. Gonna see if we can fish our 12-volt rail in there somehow. I doubt it. Yeah. That's the proper way too. That's not happening on our best day, but what we can do is lift the 3M tape for a brief couple of seconds. We got our 12-volt rail back in here with our fan wires, and then we will take the time and re-stick this unit down. Alright, 12-volt rail routed. We'll just have to find it. What is that? CPU 4-pin. And 6 plus 2, 4-pin. Whole mess from our fans. What are you? Oh, there we go. I'm elbowing stuff. Did I kill it? No, I didn't actually. I'm elbowing stuff over to the display. There's the rest of our wires that we can connect to our other wires. So we route them that way and out and hide them in between. Okay, what a mess. What a mess here. 12-volt rail. Let's get the 12-volt rail up where it needs to be first and foremost. We're going to fish it over. Alright, 12-volt rail. Somewhat ran. We're out of cable management spots here. Well, I don't know. Where do we go? There behind. Let's try. Yep, behind. That's the way to do it. Hide it. Hide it away. Plugged back in, latched in, ready to be. The rest of the cable management done. We'll connect it to our fan wires with one zip tie and move on. Boy, that's the dumbest thing ever. Do we even bother? Is that going to fit? I don't think it will. Nope, it won't. I was thinking to try and stuff the 12-volt rail, either the part that goes to the motherboard, or dual 12, 8-pin 12-volt rail, down through all these same holes that a bunch of fans had been routed through. But we're not gonna necessarily get that. I mean, the socket might fit. We might be able to fight it through there, but really, it won't make that much difference. It'll look a lot cleaner. Be tucked back in against the board. Okay, we're not gonna cheap out on it now. Let's pop this loose and pull it back out and try and fish this through there. We'll give it a minute. If we can't get it, that's all she wrote. It's done. Finito. But if we can get it through, well now. Oh, this is going all day. Okay, so done in under a minute. Was it worth the time? No, I can't answer that. What I can say is that happened fairly quickly, so call me impressed. We're hiding as much of the wire as we can. That's another good thing. Bring it down, loop it up around, and plug it in. Alright, so we got a power wire and GPU power. I realize none of this can be seen except this rack of tools and whatnot. We got to find a way to fish this guy out front and this guy out front and leave as much of the stuff back here bundled up, hidden away as possible. with room to go for the almost definitely GPU upgrade, as what will happen with most gaming computers. We'll put our extra 8-pin up front as well. Well, hello, phone. I haven't heard from you in a bit. I was beginning to wonder if you were broken. Broken. Alright, CPU power out through. Need a CPU motherboard, I mean. I'll zip tie you later, my friend. Zip tie you now. And we still have the job of getting a SATA cable in here for the one hard drive. And there is one mount clean down there. Alright, for right now, let's get our fan wires pulled through to the front. We have to get these connected some way, somehow. We almost left the length to pull them through where all the other wires go through. I think we may have to get them one at a time, and who knows if we can still fit our hand in here with... No, I take that back. We're going through the gasketed one. It's got to take a drastic turn. That can sit. That can go in. I'm going to flip this guy back down on his back again. If we get that managed, it'll be good and out of the way. Let's flip this down and get some light on the subject so we can see what we got what we're messing with here for the get these fan wires plugged in there. What do we lose? What do we lose if we undo the 1080? Nothing, right? You gain the ability to plug those in halfway normal instead of fighting with a pair of pliers. Number 3, there you are. Alright, then that should hold our front panel header wires back. Good enough. Let's put you back in your space. Okay, card in. CPU. GPU. System fancy plugged in. A little bit of cable management, and I think we should be ready for at least one, if not two, of the tempered glass panels that go on here. Or perhaps we need to learn how to plug in an 8-pin power connector. Up or down? Up. I think we split it there. Alright, everything's in. Nothing should fall, in theory. Are you kidding me? We have one loose screw? We do. There it is, too. We're going to magnet that one right out of here. Nice. Thank you. Alright, let's get the Sony back over here. We're going to use its abilities. Even though we can't see much, we can see something. Right there. Where'd you go? Really? Okay, so we have our CPU wires, CPU water cooling, RGB and fan wires that we have to get connected, and we have a saddle wire that we have to route. We gotta get all this stuff joined up together. I'm trying to think of a good way. It comes over here, I think. We're gonna tuck it down through that hole, possibly. Don't quite know where we're going to route these yet, but we'll see. We're making plans. Try and bring them together there. Okay. I don't think there's really much to talk about during cable management. It's boring. What can I say? What can you actually say about cable managing in a case? Here's where we're at with it. And hide all this up in there. And then bring it back to the back to join up with the ones coming from the front. And possibly route it all down in here with the 12-volt rail. The bigger the connector, I think the sooner we better stuff it through here with the rest of these wires. So let's get this SATA power cracking now. Get it stuffed in there. Because we still have a boatload of connectors to come through here, if that's the case. The bad thing about cable managing and such, when something goes down, you're basically redoing it. And to what level do you do it? That's what I mean. Like, how do you want the computer to look? I guess I tend to go overboard with it. Is all this necessary? No. Does it look nice afterwards? I don't know. I think so, but I'm not the authority on the matter, so don't take my word for it. I think this is a VR gaming machine, so I think it also might, and going by all the RGB fans and colors that this thing's capable of putting out, I'm going to just say it is a bit of a showpiece as well. It's a very, very nice computer. One of the nicer ones that I've worked on as far as setup and what all is going on with it. Very, very nice as far as the setup goes. The zip tie around all of that, I think. And then around our two fans. Alright, biggest ones first. Let's go with the fan connectors. They're a bigger block. We'll squish the little flat ones through second. A lot of wires going through one spot. Fan connector, no problem. Let's get number 2. And then our two RGB header cables from the, what is it, H100i. I'm going to take and zip to those. I'm going to get one that will do like we've got to get it turned back toward us. It's even tougher to get this through there. First thing to do, we're going to zip it. And then slide it upward and get these wires in with those. Did it catch our 12 volt? No. Didn't catch our 12 volt. Well, that's right about where we want it then. Oh, what's the score here? The day that metal can't cut plastic, we've got problems. Operator error, I suppose. Here's all this mess. Where do we hide them? These are fan wires, or right down with the 12-volt rail to try and get it running straighter. Let's do 12-volt rail. Quite possibly. Right, one fan. Two fan. What dumb thing do we do to hide this? Possibly? What do you think? It's gonna look horrible there. Once it's all zip tied, bundled up, nice and neat. Should we try and stretch it out? Mix it in among all of our fans. All of our fan wires. You could potentially even do one at a time. Little wires tuck in, no problem. It's basically invisible there. Then we have this mess to deal with. Say with the fans, and we possibly, how do we want to do that? Leave the connectors out. Stuck them in. Zip tie around everything. What do you know? There's a tie down right there. Perfect. It'll even keep it up in there. And we've got SATA power, SATA data. Let's go finagle with both of those in there. We could do it off of one power rail. We have one SATA power that we need to run for this 2.5-inch drive, and then what are you? Okay, you're still plugged in. Perfect. So we have, what is it? We have our H100i, we have power. And then also this other unit down here, which is, what is that? It's some Corsair, it's an LED light strip, so we gotta power it. We gotta cut our power wire and bring it up closer to this. We're out of room on this one. It's just kind of literally gonna be laying in there. Power stretched out to it. I really don't want to attempt to hide too much more in there. We can get up to that, we can power that, and just tuck our wire in. And then we got to run one for the hard drive. I'm splitting the hard drive off from the fans, as wasn't done last time, which I believe could have been done, should have been done, wasn't? I don't know. I didn't build it, I'm just repairing, so. And I'm not saying that it's definite positive for what happened with it, but I'm leaving the possibility there. How do we do this? How do we get the SATA wire to that and that? Just bring it down and run it with the power wire, I suppose. It'll be out of the way, at least. Functional? Not really. And we're going to cut that tie down here and chop. Let's do it. I think going one around the main bundle here, which you can't see nothing about what I'm saying. One around the main bundle. I'm so close yet so far. Still gotta. I'm gonna finagle this thing in there some way, somehow. Or we just let it fall to the bottom, zip tie it with the cable, and then tuck the rest of it up in. I like it. Let's do that. Get it, got it. We're getting there. Cabling is almost done. Entire case. We can power this on and say yes, your stuff is definitely done now. Do we do that there, or do we try and hide it? We try and hide it. We have the length. We definitely have the length in the cable. Yeah, I say let's get the zip tied in and bring down that entire edge. And this one should actually even also make that same run. That way it doesn't have to sit right in front of the fans while they're trying to do some work. Perhaps flip. Let's connect it with our fan wires. And there's another one there. Do we fight that other wire out and battle it to the bitter end? And so now I'm going to take this. We are going in this zip tie. Tie all three of them together. And I think we're done with part of that. We still have the hard drive to power. Let's check that quick before we add final zip ties to lock anything in. We know we need to power that thing up. And of course it's not upside down, so it's going to be super flexed in that area. Next question, where do we hide this mess? Straight to the bottom of the case, drop it. Over by the power, under, to the bottom. So we're trying to avoid just stuffing the wires in there. Solution. And to be fair, we only need one of these. This could potentially be upgraded to an M.2 SSD. So, and there are slots for it available on the front side, so that's going to be super easy to, if you could say, find over the 1 terabyte there. It'd be easy to pull out and remount our box. I made it like that, and then, or not made it. Put it in there to be moved at a later date. Then upgrade into a different drive. I think that's going to be our move, just for sake of simplicity and to be able to pull this wire out at a future date. We can literally just bundle it up here and plug it in. I think that's going to be our move to finish this cable management job off. And why all this trouble, right? Why all the trouble for this side of the case? Well, like I said, it's tempered glass on both sides and the front. So I think it's a fairly, really nice. I'm not going to say fairly. I'm going to say amazingly nice case. So it only seems that to be able to, want to show it off and be a showpiece in the room, possibly. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. So let's chop our zip ties, plug it in, and I think we're done. Nope, SATA data. And then we're done with this side of the case. I think we're done, and we can put the panel on. Do the paperwork. Actually, we're going to lift this and feed this back out. Either way to take up all of our slack. Right there. Video is getting much too long, so cut it. We need to bundle that. I don't think we do. I think everything's being held firmly in place. Let's get our SATA data wire. Let's look for a short black one versus a long one. If only it were black and we could use it up on this job. It's not black. And I think it's actually a bit too short. Alright. We gotta do the dumb thing and bundle the cable. And I don't know where to do it. I think right out here and into a port, straight in. It'll be the bottom port, and then we have to come back to the hard drive. Just see what's the safe bet. Get it through to the front, plug into the thing, and then oh, that's in much the wrong spot. We gotta go under. Under our power and GPU. Got that. Well, let's go for SATA plugged in. It's gonna be fun. We might tell me we're not removing the 1080 one more time. We should be able to grab it and hopefully plug it in to the bottom port. These little twist upward to make it to the port that's slightly down. I don't even believe that. That almost never happens. We got it. It's right You can see it right at the tippy top of the GPU. Alright. We have to zip tie that in. We'll do that when we flip it over. We gotta do a boot test on this thing. As far as that goes, I don't think there's anything else needed. Let's route our SATA data wire. It's coming through. We can get it under that. SATA data, SATA power, the rest of the power supply. All of our fan controllers. Everything powered up, plugged in, wired in. Not into place. I think we're going to get one around that just to hold it, and this back is done. The wires are all fairly back out of the way as well. So any airflow coming through from these front fans should pass through, feed somewhat cold air to the power supply. And there's always the question of this. What do we do about that so it quits popping up into that? That's our CPU wire for the RPMs of the pump. We bring it off that around how? Let's find out. We may be cutting a zip tie or disturbing some of our wires to make this run, but perhaps not. I think we might. I'm gonna say no way we're gonna make this. Probably something we gotta cut the wire and extend it. Oh, did we get lucky? Oh my goodness. I hope so. Let's find out. Does it make it to the motherboard? I'm gonna say no. Which one is CPU is the bottom one? We might have to take CPU option. But we're gonna try. All I might get it on to CPU. Oh, we got it. We made it. That's about as close as the fit as I want to make with wires. It's not stretched out, but it's, you know what, we gain our slack if we cut this zip tie here, bundling those up. If we do it like so, we're going to cut our wires. Now let's take a moment to try and unlock that. I doubt it, but it just wants to slide. Plus we mangled it. Like you get right to the end and chop through the main wires coming out of your water cooling block. Yeah, that's my luck there. Definitely my luck. So we're exercising extreme caution trying to chop this thing off of here. I don't want to cut through a wire. Let's get it out here where we can see it, folks. I know we just needed the rim, but now that I'm seeing it, I want it off of there. And we'll just tuck the wires in. Alright, you're unlocking this thing. Nice. Finally. No chopped wires. Happy about that. We can get the broom we need. We just have to spin these and re-hide them. And there. And keeping the zip tie off. Like that. Now we have to move the room from ripping or splitting the wire. The insulation that was loose, we gotta pull that slack down around through. And that's it. Okay. Everything should be hooked up. I believe it's time to glass panel this, put the magnet top on, and call it a day. We're gonna zip tie that behind all that so it doesn't fall into the fans, and that's it. Game in, finish. And we do a quick boot test to verify. It's still working. Let's chop our zip tie off. Alright. Car GPU's mounted down, 12-volt rail, front panel header, only the one USB. If it's the other one that doesn't work, a part is ordered but self-install. Alright, let's get some power to this thing. Boy, what do we do? Send it out to the stream or no? No, I don't think we can. I think we... Perhaps. One power. Number two, do I have an HDMI handy? That would be magnificent. Ew. HDMI, USB mouse and keyboard. Mouse and keyboard. Power? Come on, monitor, come up so we can finish this. Are you powering on or no? Okay? There we go. What are we missing? We got it on. Booting. Got our hard drive. What are we missing here? What about this HDMI cable? We can give it a shot. DVI. Right direct to the KVM. Oh, that would be a problem. I'm dealing with a funny DVI. It doesn't have the 4 pins. Let's check our adapter. Alright, our adapter works. It doesn't have the 4 little pins inside it. I know, obviously that's never going to focus. We're not. We don't have those 4 little pins, and that's what this DVI requires, sadly. Alright, diagnosis. Let's get our fan on. Yeah, fan, our light. So we went from not booting to booting. LED strip is not lit. It comes from the front panel, that's fine. Alright, we might be cutting a lot of zip ties here, people. First things first. Oh, I can't check it. I need to check another monitor. And another HDMI cable. No. One going to it. Let's grab the other cable and see. Alright, sadly, we gotta break something down. First things first, we're going to pull our GPU and make sure that nothing is going on there. Did multiple boot tests all in a row. What I wonder if it's up or down. That would make a difference. Did I put a dot there? Let's see if I did. I did, but it was on the cable. I'm going to pull this SATA cable out. I'm going to plug it into another port. We're going to try that for right now. That's first on the list, because when you're running an M.2 drive, if you plug into the same port, it's either not going to see the drive or possibly not boot. Not sure which, so. What is that switch for? On, off, I can't read it. No. Alright. Let's pull a GPU first. See what possibly could be happening. Will it be for the motherboard? If so, we need to go into the BIOS and set it for the slot. Before we do any of that, I'm going to pull the screws, reseat this GPU. No. Let's undo our power wire and just pull this 1080 out of the way, because it's not hooked up. We don't need the fan or the pump running. We'll unplug those and just flip this up out of the way how we had it before and go directly off the motherboard. There's our HDMI. We're not getting the post beep, but I don't think it's enabled on this system either, so HDMI out, anything that has power. Did I do something with the memory? Because I had it completely out. Still, it should work in any slot. But we're finally going to try our M.2 drive, pull it, and see if we can get a post deep. What is that switch? I need to look up the switch here. The switch is supposed to be on or off, and what is it? That switch there. What is that? Memory, and then what? Alright. Alright, we got our manual. Check on what that switch is for. That would be number 6. On the board it says memo K, and then let's see what number 6 is for. Memo K, switch, memo K. No idea. Let's look it up. Okay, so it's where it was originally. We're going to move our memory back. They recommend running 2 in the other slots. I thought that was the location they wanted them. However, I wasn't sure. Being that I did take it out for this rebuild. Okay, that's in. Oh, did we dare unmount our SSD and put it back in? Let's pop. Pop out the battery. Not that it's going to make a difference. We're still facing some issue. What issue? I do not know. It's not liking something, not staying on. Switch. So we got a configuration issue. I need to, yeah, we're basically going to rebuild, going to resocket CPU, repaste this thing, and do it all. Sadly, we don't get to boot it in the stream. We know the lights work. That issue is fixed. However, the solid, stable system that we had booting perfectly fine refuses to even run now. We had it on air cooled. It's just basically laughing at us. Our LED strip is not on. What fun. $280 back. We're gonna unmount the SSD quick, put it back in. If that don't boot it, we'll kill him stream. This could go on. Or if we need more parts, we should not. This literally was running today. Tore it down to do this, and now it's not posting. The fun of computers. You can take something previously working and now it down. Split these apart. Just for fun. Let's try and post it without the drive in. Alright, well, people, we're going to end it there. I do believe that is an unsuccessful. As I've said before, you can't win them all. We need to start disconnecting stuff from this system to find out what's keeping it from posting. Because this was just running earlier, fine and stable on air cooling. We had to tear it all down. The only thing we changed out was this water cooling CPU block here. That's the only thing we changed out. Everything else still the same, still fine. It makes you think, right? It makes you wonder how is this thing not working when it just previously was. If you watched any of it, all of it, thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking, link, coming over. It was pretty dull, pretty boring. We got to watch a stream. Nothing really successful. Like I said, you cannot win them all. Anyhow, if this is your thing, then you know this battle. Computers, technology, you know the battle. It doesn't always work. If you know how to do it, give somebody a hand. Have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Enjoy it. And we will see you next live stream.